Hello and welcome to our sixth module. This module deals with sustainable urban planning and smart cities. We all are well aware that urbanization is happening at a rapid pace. No one can deny the fact that because of job opportunities or a better lifestyle or achieving a better education, we all try to move to urban cities. The pressure on the land is increasing in the urban areas. High buildings are rising on less square feet areas, and all of that requires a sustainable urban planning and smart cities which support land, water, air, and don't exploit the forces of nature. In this module, we have four parts. In this video, we shall be dealing with the first part, which is about urbanization and environmental stress, exploring how rapid urbanization strains water, waste, land, and air quality. Just like I mentioned, urbanization leads to a rapid influx of people, of vehicles, of industries in the urban areas. Such rapid urbanization definitely stresses the resources present per square feet area. It strains the available water, it generates more waste, it puts a stress on the land and its resources, and of course, damages the air quality. Urbanization and environmental stress. The urban population is projected to reach 68% globally by 2050. This means that 68% of the entire global population is supposed to be in urban areas by 2050. That was a report by United Nations in 2023. In India, over 35% of population lives in urban areas, which is expected to increase to 40%. Now, such rapid urbanization leads to unplanned infrastructure because the influx of people from the rural areas to the urban areas is not expected. Yes, we can anticipate a few of those things, but hurry spoils the curry. And an immediate knee jerk reaction to such influx of people in the urban areas is done by raising unplanned infrastructure. High buildings are raised, and we often sadly see news or read in the newspapers about big storied buildings falling down, highways falling down. Just very recently, a bridge in Warsaw cracked from the middle. So, all this rapid urbanization leads to unplanned infrastructure. Overuse of natural resources is again a very critical point. Let's say in the village, we all have open houses, which I hope you all have been in village at one point or the other in your life. There's a big house where the whole family lives. The area is huge, and roughly 8 to 10 people live in a big area. But that same area in cities experiences 1 BHK, 2 BHK with almost 6 to 7 floors. The natural resources of that land are being exploited. The underground water is being exploited. And of course, there's a rise in pollution and waste as well. All of this leads to environmental stress. Stress because the pressure placed on the ecosystems because of human activities is too much that the demand very much exceeds the supply. Areas of environmental stress. Now, it's the natural resources which come under stress. Water stress. The groundwater is being extracted. Contaminated surface water. There's more sewage being generated. And if it's an industry, more industrial discharge happens. Urban flooding due to poor drainage and concretization. Now, what used to seep into the groundwater on its own is all a concrete jungle. The roads prevent the rainwater to seep back into the grassy grounds. and there's urban flooding, there's poor drainage, and the per capita water availability decreases in cities. The second stress is with the waste. India generates over 62 million tons of municipal waste, solid municipal waste annually. Urban areas face lack of waste segregation. Now, sadly, the word urban should suggest more intellectual people living there, more aware people living there. But we often fail to segregate our waste. We throw away biodegradable, non biodegradable plastics, fruits and vegetables all at one source. Overflooding of landfills. There's a big mountain in Delhi that has a that's actually a garbage mountain. And that leads to methane emissions and soil contamination, of course. Plastic and e-waste management is highly out of proportion. Of course, the air, where in a given area we could expect one cooler or let's say one AC functioning in the village. In the similar area, in the high rise buildings, we have almost 20 ACs working. We have 10 cars existing. And all of that leads to more air pollution. There's high vehicle density. There's construction dust. One of the most dangerous particles are present in construction dust, and of course, industrial emissions. The safe limits, the air quality index, is something that, again, Delhi, the area near Ghaziabad, is always shown as red when you check the AQI. The health, of course, suffers. There are respiratory diseases that happens, and many infants die in pregnancy. Cities like Delhi, Kanpur, Mumbai often rank among the most polluted cities globally. Land and habitat degradation. Urban sprawl leads to loss of agricultural land and green cover. Of course, when you have to raise buildings, you have to raise MNCs, you have to raise concrete jungles, you will definitely have to cut what is naturally existing. And that unfortunately somehow sometimes leads to encroachment on wetlands, lakes, and forests. The heat islands form due to excessive concrete and less vegetation. And there's a loss of biodiversity in peri-urban ecosystems. Now, peri-urban means the periphery that surrounds the urban ecosystems. Environmental stress about water. Delhi and Bangalore, we have a little study about what's happening in Bangalore. And other than that, the cities that we just read here, Delhi, Kanpur, Mumbai, of course, as much as the air is polluted, there's a lot of groundwater issues happening. There's a lot of pollution of rivers and other lakes and other water bodies happening. And rainwater, again, does not find proper drainage. Waste. Urban India produces this many tons of waste per day. Most landfills are over capacity. Now, landfills are areas where we dump our waste and it's supposed to degrade that waste into tiny particles over the years. But most of the landfills are over capacity and the microbes can do but so much work. So that purpose of nutrient cycling often falls flat. Plastic and e-waste rising, air quality, the traffic, the industries, the construction causes major pollutants. While we did air pollution in detail in our previous modules, we studied about what wastes are generated while we are constructing or breaking some buildings. Urban sprawl. Urban sprawl is a term that we can use for the rapid influx that's happening, the urbanization that's happening. There's an expansion into peri-urban and rural areas. As much as we want to develop the already existing cities and be there, the peri-urban areas, the surrounding areas of that urban city, and also the rural areas are also impacted. There's encroachment on forests, wetlands, and agricultural land. The green cover is reduced, and that leads to the formation of urban heat islands. Now, a brief study about Bangalore. Bangalore lost over 80% of its lakes since the 1980s due to urban expansion. Bangalore had a lot of lakes and it has lost 80% of them since 1980s due to urban expansion. Sustainable urban solutions. Now, urbanization and development, globalization, better lifestyle, better job opportunities cannot be ignored. But moving to the urban areas has to be accompanied with certain sustainable solutions. The same are listed in front of you: green infrastructure, solid waste management, public transport, water sensitive planning, smart cities mission. Our next topic of this module deals with the smart cities mission in India. Information and communication tools. The ICT tools are information and communication tools for pollution, traffic, and waste monitoring. Affordable housing with energy efficient designs. The other part of this module talks about green architecture with energy efficient designs. So, this is the case study about Bangalore that we just studied here. Bangalore lost over 80% of its lakes since the 1980s due to urban expansion. Here, as we can see, in 1973, there was a good vegetation over 68.2% of the area, and there was only very little buildup of 7.9%. Over the years, gradually, as we can see in this picture, in 1992, in 1999, the vegetation part kept decreasing. And it was in 2008 that the vegetation finally got lesser than the buildup. The buildup crossed the vegetation, and the buildup was 49.5% in 2008. Now, jumping to 2023, look at the contrast of 1973 and 2023. There's just 2% of vegetation left, and there's 86.6% of buildup. This is the land use change in Bangalore from 1973 to 2023. Now, urbanization here in this picture has clearly caused environmental stress. The vegetation has decreased, the lakes have gone disappeared actually, and the water is also getting scarce. There's a lot of stress on water, there's a lot of stress on the land, there's a lot of fall in the quality of air, and there's a lot more waste being generated. Bangalore forms a very sad case study for our module today, where this picture is rather scary. Something that was so green with the 68.2% vegetation has gone to 2.9% vegetation. So the above figure shows how the city's landscape has changed over the past 50 years. There is a heavy loss of wetlands and water bodies to concretization in Bangalore. The vegetation in 1973 was 68.2%, and the land used for living was only 7.9, which has now increased to 86.6. That's an 80% increase. There is seen that more than 1000% increase in the concretization due to cascading urbanization. Now, this is the urbanization where infrastructure also fails, where there's pressure on every natural resource. The water resources in Bangalore are facing growing pressure due to excessive reliance on single water source, the river Kaveri. There's no wonder we all are aware of the Kaveri dispute as well, and the absence of integrated water management practices. There's less or nil. I mean, there's absence of integrated water management practices, and there's just one water body, and there's an excessive pressure on that water body. Established in 1964, the Bangalore Water Supply and Sewage Board was entrusted with the management of water infrastructure, operations, and maintenance, functioning independently from the state government. It assumed the duty of guaranteeing a sufficient water supply, establishing networks for sewage safe disposal, devising and executing plans to enhance water reserves, managing sewage disposal. Now, even the BWSSB can do but so much. You have exploited everything to this extent, and sadly, there's no going back, because the only way to go back is to demolish all those buildings, and even that's not right, because imagine the amount of construction waste that's going to generate. So there's no going back from that, and there's an only way forward, that we do afforestation. We do certain smart architectural practices, that we do our daily bit to not waste the water, and that we should probably be very conscious about how we are doing the sewage disposal. This part of the module ends here, and we here have studied about urbanization and environmental stress, and explored how rapid urbanization has strained water, waste, land, air quality, and we did a case study of Bangalore. I hope there was something that you take away from this video. This alarming picture gives you a bell in your mind to be very conscious about how we approach urbanization, how we approach our daily habits, how we do our bit in sustaining the environment in a healthier way. Thank you. I'll see you in the next part of this module about sustainable urban planning and smart cities.